What is real estate wholesaling? You've probably either never heard of it, or if you have, it was in some headline blaming it for the state of the current housing market. In this video, I'm going to explain wholesaling to you and put to rest some of the myths around it. Hey guys, my name is Morgan Little. I'm a realtor and a real estate investor who makes educational and very entertaining videos like this one to keep you apprised of what's happening in the real estate market. If at any time you want to pick my brain or discuss your personal real estate journey in general, feel free to book a call by clicking my Calendly link in the description below, and I look forward to chatting. Till then, let's talk about wholesaling. So, what is wholesaling? Well, in real estate, wholesaling refers to a short-term investment strategy in which an individual investor enters into a purchase contract with a homeowner with the intention of assigning that contract to another individual. Sounds simple enough, right? Let me break it down for you. So how this is generally done is a wholesaler or wannabe wholesaler will begin searching for home sellers. This is most often done with private sellers, but can also be done with homes that are listed on the MLS and have a realtor representing them. But like I said, it is most often done off market for sale by owner or private seller. Side note, there are a lot of realtors who don't really understand assignments or wholesaling either, so this video is as much for you as it is for investors. The wholesaler negotiates a price with the homeowner that is often below market value. I'll talk more about this later, but for now the idea is that the wholesaler locks it up or gets it under contract, a property, for an amount that allows them to add an assignment or finder's fee on top, and then finds a buyer to assign that original purchase and sale agreement to. Once that is assigned, at that point, the wholesaler is technically no longer part of the transaction outside of collecting their assignment fee upon completion, and the seller and the new buyer are the two parties then involved in the closing of the property. Okay, so let's recap. The wholesaler finds a property, usually a private seller, makes an offer, puts down a small deposit, and gets the property under contract. Then they find a buyer who's willing to buy this contract and pay an assignment fee to the wholesaler. They're essentially a middleman at that point. The buyer then puts down the deposit, generally amount equal to half or all of the assignment fee, then signs the assignment agreement with the wholesaler, making them the new owner of that contract. Got it? Clear as mud, right? There are a lot more moving pieces to the process, but this gives you a basic idea of what a wholesale transaction looks like. One item to note about this strategy is that a wholesaler doesn't close on the property, doesn't have to get approved for financing, and the only money they would put down is the small deposit they would put on the original agreement. This makes for an attractive strategy, especially for beginners because of the low cost to entry. All right, so speaking of costs and money, let me go over again quickly the way a wholesaler gets paid, and then we'll get into the costs associated with a wholesaling business. And side note, this is a business and should be treated as such. I don't want you to see this video, think it sounds easy, let me go bang out a few wholesale deals. Like anything else worth doing, this takes time and effort to see results, so you get out what you put in. Okay, enough of the lecture, Dad. Tell us how we get paid. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, a wholesaler adds an assignment fee on top of the agreed upon purchase price and then finds a buyer who's willing to pay that extra fee to the wholesaler to be able to buy the property at the original purchase price. So it just goes to say that you'll have to get that property at a very attractive price to be able to add a fee and still make it a good deal for the end user or investor. This is where your negotiation skills come in. The better price that you can get, the higher the fee you can charge. An assignment fee can range anywhere from maybe $1,000 to infinity and beyond, as long as you can still find a buyer willing to pay for it. The highest I've heard, I think, is about $150,000. Now that's not the norm, and it was during the gold rush of 2021, 2022, but just goes to show that it can be very lucrative. The team that I work with will generally get anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000. So how do you find properties? It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Remember, like I said, this is a business and there are expenses involved. One of the major expenses comes in the form of lead generation. You got to find these people who are interested in selling to you privately. I know I mentioned that this can be done with MLS deals, but it's definitely not as common unless you're talking about pre-construction condos that investors have purchased well before they're built with the intention of assigning a condo to an end user closer to the completion of the building, which can often be 3 to 5 years later. This is kind of a different beast than what I'm talking about. So back to the subject. A common way that wholesalers find these leads is direct mail. You may have received one of these flyers or letters from someone saying, "We buy houses," or "cash offers for your home." Depending on the city you live in, you may have received many of these, as I've heard that from some people. Well, these direct mail campaigns cost money. They go out through Canada Post, and if you've ever had the pleasure of sending a package through Canada Post, you know that it's not cheap. Other ways of finding leads can be door knocking, which is more time consuming but less costly and gets you face to face with sellers. or you can try Kijiji and Facebook ads. There are a lot of ways to get out there. It's a great place for people to start in real estate investing due to its low barrier to entry and relatively low cost startup. Now, you're probably asking, why would someone work with a wholesaler? Well, good question. Some people might tell you that wholesalers are evil and they're just trying to take advantage of little old ladies who don't know the market and they're just trying to rip them off. These people would be misinformed and obviously ignorant to the process and intentions behind wholesaling real estate. They probably read some headline in the media once and formed their opinion based on that. I'm not saying there aren't a few bad apples out there. I mean, look at all the title fraud that's been coming out lately about people's houses being sold on the market right from under their noses. But what I'm saying is that the companies that have built reputable businesses around helping people sell their homes privately are not trying to mislead or deceive people. They're providing a service, and if there wasn't a demand for that service, then they would be out of business. Anyways, I digress. For the most part, people are pretty aware of what's happening in their local real estate market these days, especially. Although they're generally behind the curve, as we saw a ton of this in 2022, where people had heard the market was crazy, so they thought their home was worth X amount based on the fact that their neighbor sold down the block in February 2022 for over asking. Things change pretty quickly in real estate, but like I said, these days, real estate is a hot topic. Most people are fairly aware of what's going on in their local market. So the reasons people are willing to work with a wholesaler or a private buyer are plenty and can often be very personalized to the situation. The home can be distressed and in need of major repairs, and the homeowner may not have the funds to do these repairs, so selling it as is may be the best option for them to walk away with some money, or at least walk away without any debt. In these cases, the home won't show well on the market, so marketing it to investors who can look past clutter and damage or maybe hoarding may be to their advantage. There could be family or neighbors that they don't want knowing about the sale of their home. They may just want a quick and easy transaction and don't want an open house and people coming through their home to do showings. Since COVID, that's been a big one. Or they just may not want to deal with a dirty realtor and don't like the idea of paying a commission. This is also a common one. Some people like to just kind of work outside of the established system. Like I said, there are many reasons why people might want to sell privately. Additionally, there are a variety of strategies that can be implemented outside of just assigning the property as is to an investor. Some of these include partnering up with a wholesaler with an agreement for sale where they would come in, the wholesaler would come in with the funds to do the renovations. Then they can list the property together and split any profits. Or if the homeowner has equity in the home, it could provide seller financing. They could get monthly payments and increase the total amount of money they would receive for their home. There are a lot of options when you get creative and try to find solutions to help people depending on their particular situation. Working in this space really does require being solution oriented. Okay, so you found a deal. Now what? Well, this is where joining an existing team who has a deep database can really come in handy. Just like it's a specific type of seller who would go this route, it's a specific type of buyer who would purchase the property this way as well. So my tips to you on how to get started in wholesaling would be, number one, join a team. This would be a great place to learn from others who are doing what you want to do, and it would be much more cost effective for you to do it since the team you're joining will probably already have a lead gen system in place. Also, they will have the database to dispose of the deals, which you likely won't have starting out. Number two, consider becoming a bird dog. A bird dog is someone who strictly finds leads and then feeds them to someone like a wholesaler and gets paid either on a lead basis or if they close the deal. This is a lot more straightforward than building out a whole wholesaling business and is a fundamental skill to develop. It can also be a great place for you to build your skill and build your capital before moving into building out a larger, more scalable business. And number three is network, network, network. This goes for online and offline. We live in a digital world now, so yes, you want to create a great online presence. Be active on Instagram and TikTok. And if you're watching this, then you can see the power of YouTube. Don't try to be everywhere at once though. Pick a platform or two and get on it, go deep in it, don't go wide, just post a lot and engage with others. That's the most important part. And then get outside. Go to investor meetups. There are a ton of them now in every city. Go door knock, talk to people at the grocery store or in line at Starbucks. Leads are everywhere if you're willing to look for them. And don't forget about the power of referrals. Just because someone you talk to isn't in the market at the moment, they may know someone who is, and after having a good experience with you, they may just throw your name around to others. And a bonus tip, and probably the most important thing, focus on creating value for other people and look for a win-win scenario when you deal with sellers. If you go in there with commission breath and it's obvious that you're only there to get yourself paid, you will not go far. Real estate is based on relationships. You shouldn't treat people like a transaction. You never know what can come from helping others. So adopt that mindset genuinely, and trust me, you'll always have business in the pipeline. And remember, there's a lot of education that goes into these conversations. So I do recommend knowing your product, knowing your market, and like I said, working with an experienced team or mentor so that you can be confident and relay the correct information when the time comes. If you have any questions about wholesaling or just real estate in general, please feel free to book a call with me. I'm always looking to expand my network as well. Click the link below and I look forward to connecting. Till then, stay well and stay hungry.